Naseem, you're going to talk to us about really diving into analytics and observability on MCP servers that you are publishing, right? So this is for people who are interested in, they built an MCP server and now they want to figure out how people are using it, how to improve it, what the adoption looks like. Did I get that right?
I mean, and incredibly spot on. Some of these MCP servers are such black boxes. You put them out there and all you really have are API logs to start off with. I mean, I know some teams that are basing traction entirely on GitHub stars. So
I think that's I think there's some VCs who base that on that. So let me turn the screen over to you, and yeah, we'll drop out and let you take it away.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Awesome. So I just wanted to get us started with jumping right into a demo of the MCPcat platform. So Shannon actually put it quite nicely. What we do is essentially give your MCP servers all the tools you need to understand what agents are doing with it, when they're messing up, and what their most popular use cases are. So it's really useful for understanding what's missing in your MCP server, but also fixing issues that can arise. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in here on some of the metrics that we show you. So this is the MCPcat main dashboard, where we have a lot of high-level analytics on how your server's doing. So we have daily active users, new users in the last week. And then we have a concept that MCPcat introduces called sessions and active sessions. So by default, the main way to look at MCP servers is looking at tool logs that are coming through your whatever logging you might have set up yourself or piped in. We go one step further and associate all existing tool calls with what we call sessions. So for example, when Slav was giving his demo on how to use the render MCP, and he asked it a very explicit question, like, why is this API slow? The series of tool calls that come after that, we consider one session in MCPcat. And that's really important for understanding sort of the user's goal later on. And so we can show you how many sessions occurred. Some nice graphics here for users compared to sessions being done with your MCP server. Here, we actually have some pretty fun visuals. So on the left, this is assuming some of Stripe's data. It's a complete demo instance that I have set up here for you guys. We actually introspect on your MCP server sessions to tell you the most common goals that people have with your server. So here, given the Stripe MCP, it seems like a lot of the usage being done here is to refund transactions, cancel invoices, and maybe create some links. MCPcat is doing this by analyzing your sessions, and we'll get into that later. And then another very important metric to go off of is how many sessions actually result in a tool call error. Tool call errors can happen one of two ways, either an actual backend error that your API reports, or a parameter error that happens even before it gets to your server. So just the AI misunderstands how to call your tool. And we see that 70% of sessions, actually end up with some errors in them. Moving on here, we have a little session replay information, which I'll get to later. And then we actually show you where the clients, where your users are coming from. So whether it's Claude Code, Claude Desktop, Cline, Cursor, Windsurf, etc. Something that's really fun is I wanted to share some statistics with you. So actually 90% of the traffic going through MCPcat is coming through Claude Code, Claude Desktop, and Cursor. We found that quite surprising ourselves, but it seems like those are the most robust agents today, and so that's where most of the traffic we're seeing is coming from. well, you could get this for your own MCP server and see. One of the main reasons this is helpful is if users are coming through client and you haven't actually tested or evaluated client for your server, you'd probably want to. The last step that I wanted to show you on this dashboard was to show you most used tools and tool call latency. Here we actually show you all the tool calls being made with your server and actually how frequently they error as well. So for example, in this Stripe demo instance, it seems like creating a refund errors a decent amount of times. So you would want to dive into that. Now, how would you? Well, you can use MCPcat's session dashboard to actually dive into when errors are happening and sort of reconstruct what the agents were thinking as they were making those tool calls incorrectly. So you can see all the sessions being taken with your MCP server. This is updated within a few seconds of a session occurring. We even do support anonymizing this data. So I have created this demo instance to show you the maximum amount of data you can get, but you can kind of surface to your users optionality on is their data anonymized, is it not? So for this purpose, I've gone ahead and even identified users. So we can go ahead and look here that for this session, Jennifer had 13 tool calls over around 6 minutes. And she was actually using Cursor and she ran into an issue. So let's take a look at what this issue says. So here we can see that she's running version 1.1 of Cursor. We actually get a little bit of a summary on what her goal was. So it looks like she was trying to analyze monthly revenue performance. So doing some revenue analysis across the board. And then the exact version of the Stripe MCP she was using and more details on it. This is where it gets really fun. So here you can walk step by step what the agent was thinking as it was trying to analyze the monthly revenue. So it looks like it goes ahead and calls get Stripe account info, tries to understand what type of business she's running, reviews all active subscriptions, calculate monthly revenue. And eventually it seems to come across an error on listing all the coupons. And if you've never used Stripe, this is pretty much any discount code is called a coupon. And so here it seems like it ran into an error with reviewing the active promotions. There would be, you could actually dive into more details on this. This is just some demo data, but you could see the response and the message that was taking place. So yeah, one thing that we find really helps with debugging is actually you can grab a link to this session and share it with your engineers to debug. So you can say, oh, I'm going to put this in a ticket, and this is all the context that you need. Normally, if this error occurred, you would actually have to sort of rely on Jennifer to share with you what she was trying to do and how she came about this issue. And you'd also have to have a little bit of a information gathering with her to find out, well, was she using Cursor? What version was she using? You could even go back to previous sessions that Jennifer has taken place, and understand her usage on a larger scale. So that is, a very brief summary of some of the leverage you can get with having a solution like MCPcat in place. I wanted to go ahead and quickly touch on what it's like to get started and how it works. So let me go ahead and share our GitHub repo for our TypeScript SDK. We have a Python SDK as well, and we're working on a Go SDK. It should launch next week. Very simple to get started. npm install MCPcat, and for all of our SDKs, it's just one line of extra code. You call .track on your existing MCP server with a project ID that you can get from MCPcat. It's free to try. You get 1,000 sessions for free and every month. So and we even have an open source program for projects that are open source, you'll get higher usage for free, mostly forever. So in order to actually identify sessions, we have a simple identify hook so that on every tool call, you can actually identify the user and publish that and tie it to the session. We also have integrations with existing data vendors. So we support OpenTelemetry logging, Datadog, and Sentry. So, if naturally you don't want to have your data in a new tool, we have classic analytics that we send automatically for any MCP server. You don't need to sign up for MCPcat to leverage this. But this is sort of how MCPcat works. So your MCP server runs, and under the hood, we have in parallel an MCPcat agent that is sort of grabbing context from your MCP sessions and publishing classic analytics to any vendors, but more of the agent session replay to our actual dashboard. Under the hood, the way that we're reading the minds of the agents interacting with your MCP server is we're actually injecting some parameters into your tool calls to force the agent to play nice and share some context about what it's trying to do. Now, I mentioned that we're showing you all the data you can get with your MCPcat, but everything is actually configurable. You can actually turn off the agent context telemetry. You can even redact anything from the context or responses. We've kind of taken inspiration from Datadog on this. So any data that gets sent to any server, whether it's your vendors or MCPcat, you can actually redact completely with any redaction you'd like to support. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the demo. And I guess now we'll take some questions.
Thanks, Naseem. That was great. I can absolutely see the usability. It's like you offer a lot of cool free capabilities as well, just for anybody who wants to pipe out their logs and get some stuff to to their traditional, their existing analytics providers. Kind of brings up one of my first questions, which is, so where do you see the fit for this in an analytics in for an organization that already has those analytics providers that are, I'm already paying Datadog, I'm already paying New Relic or whatever I'm paying for my observability and analytics.
Yeah.
What do you feel like there's just those projects haven't caught up and don't really offer any value to MCP operators yet, and so you think there's a window here to add value, or do you feel like they may never catch up and this is a long-term opportunity to build a new layer of observability?
Yeah. So, I mean, the short answer is they have not made any solutions to get you this kind of visibility. So, even if you were to use existing data vendors, depending on the framework you're building your MCP server on, you actually have to pipe all this context logging in yourself manually, and it's quite the effort. So the short answer is they haven't done anything. The longer answer is I think understanding how agents are using your products going forward is quite a unique problem to solve, and I don't think existing observability really cuts it. So yeah,
makes a lot of sense. And when you think about the area that you're pulling kind of specifically, if I read your diagram right, is all that session information is kind of flowing specifically to MCPcat. How are you dealing with privacy stuff? I heard you talk about anonymizing the source, but that doesn't necessarily mean that any PII or anything else that might be going through this thing isn't ending up in your database and your SaaS. Have you guys already addressed that, or is it something you're planning to address, or how? Given your background with Opal, I would think this is something you guys might have a thought about, and so I'm curious how you thought about this.
Totally. So I think I touched on it just a little bit, but essentially we offer localized redaction on anything that gets sent to anywhere. So before anything leaves your server, you can redact it. And and honestly, most MCP servers should have this redaction in place. So if there is a customer sending your MCP server PII, like you should have a redaction filter. And MCPcat is compatible with any of those redaction filters. So you can, find PII and remove it, like whether it's a, driver's license number, credit card, all of that is easily filtered out before it even touches our own software. So
there's a lot though still in that session. I mean, realistically, there's a lot. I mean, those sessions are rich, full of information. Obviously, I think as the MCP developer, I'm super eager to get my hands on there. As the platform operator, that puts a lot of really important knowledge sitting in your database. How are you guys approaching that and giving your customers some confidence that their most important, these conversations are remaining private?
Yeah, definitely. So we are SOC 2 compliant. We have everything pretty much encrypted at rest. There are some columns that are even encrypted before they get written to our database. It's about proving it to our users, getting audits done regularly. And I know that some of this data seems like it's a lot, but quite genuinely, this is very little data compared to other platforms that we all know and use. Like there are so many platforms that do human user analytics that have tons of this data. And even already, most people send logs to Datadog unredacted, which isn't okay. So I think generally speaking, we haven't seen a ton of people nervous about it, at least not from our end.
Cool. Craig, I've been dominating the questions today. You have any questions you want to ask?
No, I thought your sort of the concept of injecting some parameters to kind of capture the intent of the LM was a very interesting approach. And it kind of speaks to sort of an idea we've been playing with, which is like, should these MCP servers expose fine-grained tools at all, or should they only expose that sort of like, give me your intent and I'll figure it out on the back end? So I'm curious if you see things heading that way, if you've seen any MCP servers doing that, or, just kind of any thoughts on that area.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Craig. We've seen some, I have seen like one or two MCP servers say like, hey, give us your goal and then we'll give you the tools you need and expose them to you to reduce kind of like context window bloat. But it's so few, honestly. No one's really doing it. And then you also run into the trouble with once you start using some of the more advanced features of MCP, you start breaking clients. Like so many clients don't support sampling yet. So many clients don't support elicitation properly yet. So honestly, you have to be quite careful with implementing that, because then you'll break your server for a lot of your users. And you can find out with MCPcat.
Yeah.
Broke it.
Your SDK, I saw, you're wrapping effectively a server. Is that server you're wrapping, is that a MCPcat object, or can that be, other, SDKs?
Yeah, that is the MCP server. So it's not a MCPcat object. It's the MCP Model Context Protocol SDK.
Your official
object.
SDK.
Yeah. So the only thing you're doing is just importing MCPcat and calling .track on the existing server objects.
Got it. Cool.
So yeah, no additional configuration needed.
It's kind of crazy, right? We're 10 months old for MCP, and you guys are, you're building a product for analytics on a protocol that's relatively new. And I mean, I love it, right? Because you're betting on this standard in the same way we're betting on the standard. And most of the people coming on the show or watching the show are believers in the standard. But in a lot of ways, I wonder if the patterns and the work you're doing aren't going to apply almost regardless of where standards and protocols end up, because this layer of how do we observe AI is new and it's interesting. And I think that, I don't know if you guys, just watching kind of the OpenAI announcements of the last week, if any of that made you think, I think what we're doing applies very well to an OpenAI application that may, it's probably an MCP as well under the server, but it might require some additional things. Have you guys started thinking about that? And
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's similar for you guys in 𝗏𝗏𝗏, right? So, you know, what we're both building, like you guys are building incredible controls around, you know, audit trails, like making sure agents are executing safely in enterprise environments. Like the current way to do that is MCP. We don't know for sure if MCP will be the main protocol, right? But we know for a fact that agents are seeing traction that's necessary, and whatever protocol that is, we're going to follow it. And so it's really, you know, both of what we're building is completely agnostic to the current implementations. I mean, I assume in 3 years could be completely different,
or just a continued evolution of the thing that takes off.
Yeah,
this was honestly, Naseem, I could talk to you all day. I love the way you're approaching this. I really think your intentions approach is really smart. I think that's the kind of stuff that is really going to be valuable for people to understand. And I think you're just really I love this project. So fantastic job building it. Hope you'll submit a talk or maybe get involved, since we're going to be out in New York for the next MCP Summit. Would love to have you guys there speaking, sharing, maybe helping us pick the talks. That's another thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, but we're looking for people to get involved in the program committee. So awesome to see people diving in early into this ecosystem, and really all the best of luck to you. I think this company, have you guys already, are you a full, this has nothing to do with Opal, right? Like, it's a totally different company, or, you know, completely independent?
Yeah. So, you know, Opal is running completely independently. You know, I have a wonderful co-founder who's still in charge. And yeah, MCPcat is, you know, fully funded and ready to go. Small team right now, but I mean, Shannon and Craig, we'd love to also have a talk at the summit. I have so many ideas on interesting statistics we could share for that talk. So
I mean, 6 months from now, I can't even imagine the data you're going to be able to share. So please submit a talk, and make sure you just reach out, man. We're super enthusiastic about what you built, and it's exciting times.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. It was great having Slav on today. Craig, thanks for filling in for Darren, and hopefully we'll keep having so many great conversations. Thanks everyone for joining us. This will be up on YouTube in a few hours, hopefully, as a separate talk. So, take care.
We'll see you.